right, I'm Dave Shaheen. I'm back here at the Tonight Show this time with David Swift, one of Rex's former students, and we're just going to ask David a few questions. Dave, the first question, what is your job here?
I'm now a producer, believe it or not, but I was a web editor, and that's kind of more, I think, of a good description of what I do. But I'm a producer.
That sounds important, yeah. Do you get more pay being called a producer?
No.
Same pay, different name?
Pay.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So what do you produce? What are some of the things that you do? What's your
So
work?
I produce all the web content for The Tonight Show. I push all of our clips out to different places like Hulu, our website, mobile devices, YouTube, all these different places. It gets sent different places, and there's music clearance issues. Sometimes music gets cleared for broadcast, but then music rights is a whole different thing for the web, so we may not get it cleared for the web. It has to kind of get axed out, and I have to try to make that all seamless.
Very cool. And right now you're sitting in front of these, two computer or double computer screen, and then there's two monitors. What's going on the monitors up top there?
What's going on right now? This is a rehearsal for the guest band that's here. Take a look at my calendar.
Like Placido Domingo, is that?
That's it.
No kidding. Wow, he's still singing.
And so these computers I use to publish the clips. So everything that comes out of the Tonight Show goes through this machine right here.
Any fancy software that you're using, or
just Final Cut Pro, and then everything else is kind of done through the web, just CMS platforms and things like that.
So you don't have to compress video. I mean,
do.
Final Cut has all sorts of compression.
Yeah, actually,
options.
what I use is a cluster, a QMaster cluster. And for those that don't know, it's basically a bunch of different processors that will take one clip, break it up into a bunch of different pieces, and process those pieces independently, and then put it all together at the very end. And
So that just speeds up your processing
way
time.
faster. So if I were just going to use this computer to transcode, it would take forever. But in the Leno cluster, it's about 10 times, I'd say. Probably.
Okay, so are you linking a bunch of Macs together that are somewhere else in the building or something?
Yeah, well, something like that. Processors, basically. Yeah.
The boxes.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you get the stuff processed and posted. Is it something that you do like the show that happens last night? Are you putting it on the web the next day? Is it something that happens that quickly?
Yeah, so there's an East Coast feed of the show, and there's a West Coast feed. So East Coast and West at the same time.
Yeah.
11:35 for both East Coast and West Coast, but obviously there's 3 hours difference.
Right.
So after the West Coast feed airs, that's when our clips go live on our website, which is 3:35 a.m. Eastern.
Are you here at 3:35 a.m.
Yeah.
pushing some buttons?
So
really stinks.
after the show ends, which is around 5:15, I'm pushing that content out, and then after it's all done, I'm scheduling it all.
Oh, okay. So you have a way of saying when it becomes accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. And what are some of your other job duties? Anything else that you do as a regular part of your daily job, or is the clip management?
Yeah, I also do the copywriting for the clips. I'll do all the still images that are on our website. I kind of populate the site with different content. And then I work at JayLenosGarage.com. I'm a camera operator, associate producer.
So what is that, JayLenosGarage.com?
It's Jay's a car fanatic, and so he likes to review cars, supercars, old cars, buses. He says if it rolls, explodes, and makes noise, that's what he's into. And so we go to different events. We do the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, which is a famous car show. And then we also host cars at the garage to, kind of walk around and talk about suspension, engine, all these things. And we'll get like the engineers or like the heads of the company to come in and tell us more about the car. And then he takes it for a drive, and if it's burnout worthy and these things such as this.
That's cool. And I've seen some of your postings on Facebook.
Yeah.
So is there an actual garage, a physical space?
Oh yeah, it's a huge. Those are his kids. He doesn't actually have children. He has cars.
That's really a blast. So maybe the next time I come out here, you can give us sort of a tour of that space.
We can maybe figure that out.
Yeah, we'll talk. Sounds exciting, but that's for another day. For this time, we're trying to we're trying to help some of the kids at school figure out how they can get a job in the business. So how about starting by explaining how you landed this gig?
Ooh, good question. Okay, well, here's what happened. It's a lot, but a lot of things happened all at once. I got accepted to Emerson's LA program. Jay's an alumni of Emerson. At the same time, my grandfather died, unfortunately, and he used to live in Corona, which is not far from here. And so we came out for the funeral right after I'd gotten, the accepted to the LA program, and then so my dad restores antique fire engines. Around this time, Jay had contacted my dad because Jay had gotten a fire engine. Said, you know, hey, like, can you help me out, like, finding parts for this? No problem. We came out for the funeral. We went and visited Jay. Told Jay I got this, you know, opportunity, and he was like, well, would you like to come work at the Tonight Show? I said, well, yeah, I need an internship. And so basically what you do when you're in the LA program, you get, like, I think a maximum of 30 hours a week that you're supposed to dedicate to your internship. Well, I was working here 50 and taking, you know, 3 classes.
Wow.
So I was busting my ass.
Not a whole lot of time to party.
Yeah. No. I was doing my editing, you know, assignments like at 3 o'clock in the morning, which actually got me into some trouble because I was like holding on to the key.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing.
Well, you survived that.
But I survived. Yeah. I made it out alive.
Right.
And so I was a production assistant during that time, first semester. I went back to Boston to graduate, which is, I think, when I took Rex's class. I think I had come back from then. And after I graduated, came back out, started as a production assistant again, and through some hard work, here's where I'm at.
Well, hard work is really one of the keys then, I imagine. You got your foot in the door, that's sort of key number 1.
Yeah.
But number 2 is you kind of prove yourself, right?
Yeah, you know, and the other thing is, like, even if I didn't have this gig, this is a great gig. Love this. Like, I'm extremely lucky and blessed for this. But it's like, there's, you know, friends from Emerson that I know that if I could just call those guys up and say, like, hey, I need work right now, they'd figure it out for me. So I think, you know, hard work is huge, but it's like who you talk to, who you know, who you associate with, you know. You know, it's just sometimes it's just luck. Like I said, like all kinds of stuff happened all at once, and I was ready, to meet that opportunity. I think that's a big part of it, you know, that's it really.
All right, so you're in now. You've being in the business as you are, you're probably starting to get some sense of the fact that that there are a lot of changes in the industry, and those changes may affect you know, kids that are looking for work in the industry or people who are already working in the industry. What's your understanding of some of those changes and some of the things that people need to do to adapt?
I think the best thing you can do is learn programming language. Even being a TV person, you know, fine, but I think if I were going to give myself advice, I would say learn programming languages, because I think what's going to happen is we're going to interact with our media more, and the ability to interact, the missing link is programming. You need to be able to tell the machine, okay, if, then. I think, you know, like just the other day I was seeing this, you know, interactive print media. I think it's like a Lexus ad. You take your iPad and you put it under your the sheet of a magazine, and you know, the illuminations from the iPad, the animations underneath, you know, and then over the. I have to show it to you, but it's very cool. You should check it out. Like interactive print media, it's crazy. No programming language really involved there, but I think it's kind of indicates like a trend. It's like we're breaking the proscenium. There's no more box anymore. You know, I would say that's what I guess it's such a cliche to say, but you got to think outside the box, because everybody can do what I do, right? I mean, it's not that difficult. I just, you know, I'm publishing clips. It's really not but you gotta be able to think outside of just that clip window. You know, how is the audience engaging with this content? So I think you just make yourself extremely valuable being more, you know, involved with the language of the computer, obviously aesthetic and all those things you're already learning at Emerson, so that's my advice.
All right, Dave, so we're here in a very strange space. What is this place? It's almost like Walmart on steroids.
Yeah, they call this the prop turnaround area, so they load in all the band's equipment, all the props. That's where, what you just panned over, that's where they catalog all our props, like dolls and suitcases. There's the Queen, all these crazy things that they keep here on the premises. And then they also, there's prop houses, there's costuming, you know, warehouses that are other places that they also use, but they also keep a lot of stuff right here. So this is like the band's kind of, you know, they've got all their equipment in here, and this is where they just, everything gets loaded in. It's kind of like a staging area before things actually go out to the main studio.
Okay, and from where we're standing right now, where does the show actually take place?
Right over behind that wall. Right behind that wall is where the show takes place.
So that blue door right over there
That's
on
it.
the other side of that, if
Yep.
we could open that, would be on the set.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So you're, we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the things students might need to know to get a job like this cool gig you have. Once you get a job like this, what are some of the things you need to do to keep it?
Constantly adapt. I think you just got to keep learning. Like right now, I'm trying to learn Ruby on Rails, which is like a, you know, for mobile development. You know, you just got to constantly, you can't become complacent and say, oh, okay, well, I got the gig, so now I'm just going to do my gig. You got to be looking ahead and saying, well, where is this all going? You know, what's going to be valuable to know? I think everybody's doing more and more of this these days. Mm-hmm. There's very few people now actually just browsing the web on their desktop. Of course we do, but a lot of people are doing it now this way. And so, you know, interfaces, user experience, all these things are, you know, you're not going to really get it at Emerson, I don't think. You just have to, you know, adapt.
Okay, so that's a real good lead into my next question. You learn so much at school, at college, but then when you get on a job, I know when I get out of school, I learned so much. I think my first 6 months out of school, I did an internship. And I think I learned more on that internship than I learned in the 4 years of school. How does that ratio play out in your life?
Definitely true. I think I got a lot of theory at Emerson. Emerson's kind of a place where they say you get a lot of practical experience. You do, you're using cameras, you do get like that hands-on tech experience, but your cameras are going to change. Technology is going to change. The TV studio at Emerson, yeah, it's got some of the same fundamental stuff. It's professional level stuff, but I mean, is that really the most important thing? You know, like I think it's just how quickly you think on your feet. You exercise good judgment. I think the most important thing is, are you fun to work with? I mean, do people, you know, the guy that I sit next to up there, I spend 50 hours a week with that guy. Like, if we don't get along, there's a problem. Now, I mean, we work really well together. It's not a
Not to
problem.
mention if he has like stinky feet, and that would really suck too.
Right, stay well showered.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really important how likable, like, you know, do you work well in a group? Are you cooperative? Are you, you know, what's your role? Are you a leader? Are you somebody are you a technician? I think you got to know what your strengths are and then apply those to the group. And that's it. I think likability is the biggest thing, because I've heard conversation where it's like, well, this guy has more skills,
But he's a pain in the ass to work with.
He's a pain in the ass.
That's,
So-
you know, that brings up another question that a lot of the kids have been asking about. What, you know, they wanted me to do when I get out here, which was to say, find out, you know, it's a high stress kind of industry? Are a lot of people kind of nasty and high pressure, or are people kind of fun to work with?
I think it can be high stress. It can be very high stress. It's like, everybody gets under the gun sometimes. You're a teacher, I'm sure you do as well. It's like you got papers to grade or whatever it is, and you got to deliver. But at the same time, I think it depends on the production. I think it depends on the leadership of the production. I think I've been on set where everything goes totally smooth, and I've been on set where people are literally tearing their hair out. So I think, it totally depends. And, as long as you're in control of how you behave, if somebody is raw and you're still cool, then that's all you can do.
It sort of deflects it.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I have to mention that Leno is under a little bit of pressure. He's got to do a live show. It's essentially live. I mean, they record it pretty much straight, and then a couple hours later it's on the air. How is he to work with?
He's great. I mean, Jay, I'm not kidding. Like, he's the best.
You're not just saying that
No, I'm not just
because
saying
we're
that.
here in the
I'm
Tonight Show.
just saying that I've worked with other bosses that I will say, ugh.
Yeah.
Jay's a really compassionate guy. He got a bad rap in the media. I think basically what happened there is a lot of people decided that they were experts on the television business, and when in fact they have no idea. I mean, if you really look at it, kids, because I'm sure there's a few Conan people in there, I'm a Conan fan too. I think he's hilarious. I think Jay's hilarious. I think David Letterman's hilarious. I like Craig Kilborn a lot. Why does it have to be like Yankees versus Red Sox? To me, it's like there's different strengths for these guys. Conan's a quirky guy, and Jay's got his brand of humor that people enjoy. And it's like, why does it have to be so polar? Back to Jay. I think he's, the way I see him, with his employees, takes a personal interest in people. If your dog died 3 weeks ago, he's going to be concerned about that. Like, he knows events in people's lives. He doesn't just like, hey, how you doing? He takes a personal investment in what, his employees are up to.
That's good to hear.
He's a hard worker. He's here every day. Guy doesn't take a sick day. It doesn't happen, And, he's taken a pay cut recently to save jobs. And, donates a lot of his time and money to charity outside of the show. And he gives, kids breaks. It doesn't matter, as long as you're willing to work hard, then it's all good.
That's awesome. I know he's always kind to my boss, Rex Traylor.
Right.
When Rex comes to New England, when Jay comes to New England, he's been very generous to Rex. Any thoughts about Rex? You had Rex's class at Emerson. What are a couple of thoughts or memories about Rex Traylor?
I love Rex. I just, sometimes life kind of gives you events where it's like, pay attention. I'm not like particularly religious, but I think sometimes like cosmic events, and it's like, wow, how did that happen? I just signed up for Rex's class, and then I was visiting my friend in Brandeis, and so I'd taken a bus from Boston out to Waltham, and I had fallen asleep on the bus, as I do, just kind of nod off, and when I came out of it, I woke up, like I'm literally, like I opened my eyes and I'm just looking at Rex. It was the strangest thing. like we had pulled up to a stop, just right in front of his production office, and he literally was facing me, like there's a big window in the office. Mm-hmm. He's facing me, looking directly at me.
This is his office in Waltham?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so it says Rex Traylor in giant letters.
Russ pulls up, I open my eyes, and there's Rex sitting in a chair in the office looking directly at me.
That's bizarre. You never told me this story. That's creepy.
For the class, and we had like one class, and I went out to visit my friend, and so I just decided, like, how weird is this? So I just got off the bus, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go talk to Rex.
Did you go in? You went and talked to him at the office? That's cool. He must have got a kick out.
He ended up giving me a ride the rest of the way to my buddy's house.
That's cool.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, life kind of gives you these moments where it's like, pay attention. This is important. You can learn something here. And absolutely, I've learned tons from Rex. And also, he got me the hypnotist gig. It was really crucial for me at that time to get a little extra cash to be able to move out here.
Yeah, who was on that year? I remember Matt Lieberman. Yeah, and then I had a crew of my folks, and we had a lot of laughs that year.
Yeah, it was great. It's really fun.
You know, Rex he's still doing that. I've been doing that with him, I think, for 22 years, and he's still doing that. We just did it a couple months ago.
Rex has some great stories. Like, I believe that he flew a plane through a tornado and it crashed and he survived.
Yeah, it wasn't
true?
actually a tornado. What happened was he was running out of fuel.
Oh, okay.
And he was calling they wouldn't let him land, and he ran out of fuel and he crashed. Yeah, and he broke his back in that crash.
Is there a tornado story? Where am I getting
I think he does have. I think he has a tornado story as well. Yeah, he's got a million stories. Someone has to do like a video on just Rex stories.
Get some stories from Rex personally. Do the video, but get it from him. Go out to that production office if he. I wouldn't recommend just showing up like I did, but give him a ring. Hang out with that guy, because what a gem of a human being he is.
He really is.
You just don't run into those kind of people every day.
That's good advice. So students in Rex's class should get out and meet the guy and learn about the real Rex trailer.
Yeah, just do it outside of the classroom, because you got stuff to do during class. You got to play director, play Chiron. You got to do all those things. Take the time to actually go out. If you can. I realize you're probably busy, but that's worth your time.
All right, I'm going to let you get to work. The Tonight Show is going to get rolling shortly here. Thanks very much to David Swift, former Emerson student, former student of Rex Trailers, for talking to me. David, we'll see you next time. Maybe we'll do some work in Jay's garage.
Sounds good.
Okay,
see you guys.